I would just say, if you can do a oath or affirmation of allegiance and just repeat after me, Commissioner Marchand. I, John Marchand,
I, John Marchand,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
Close. Okay. And then that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
and I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
There, congratulations. I don't know what to say after this, but you are sworn in, Commissioner.
Well, then let's get some work done.
That's right.
Thank you all. Thank you for the confidence.
So how many times, John, is that you've sworn that oath over the years?
Dozens, scores of times. And every time I am impressed by the weight of those words, and I take them very seriously.
Yes. So thank you. So we're on to the next item is the approval of the meeting minutes of the May 13th LAFCO regular meeting.
Move
approval,
approval, Albert.
Hernandez will second.
Thank you.
Okay, moved and seconded. Do we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Miley,
Aye.
Commissioner Hobart,
Here. Aye.
Commissioner Hernandez,
Aye.
Commissioner Warner,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Wieskamp.
Aye.
Let the record reflect the motion passes.
Okay. Wonderful. On to item 4, the proposed annexation of the Sanctuary West to Union Sanitary District. And could we have the staff report on this?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chair. Our Vice Chair. So the proposal before the Commission was submitted by Union Sanitary District in conjunction with landowners of the affected territory, seeking to provide public wastewater services to a planned residential development of approximately 430.1 acres of territory located within the City of Newark to Union Sanitary District. The affected territory comprises of 5 parcels and would facilitate the development of about 469 detached single-family units consistent with tentative maps approved by the City of Newark through its adopted Area 4 specific plan. USD attests that it has the capacity to support the planned development, and the territory lies within the district's sphere of influence. The timing of the change of organization aligns with the City of Newark's land use policies in a manner that reflects available capacities and infrastructure. Just to point out that the annexation of the affected territory to USD for the purpose of establishing permanent public wastewater services going forward is consistent with the adopted residential land use policies of the city. And also the timing coincides with the city's pre-development approval and their pending development action for this 469 residential development. Staff did find one potential amendment to the proposal, and this involves expanding the annexation boundary to include 2 incorporated parcels immediately to the east of the affected territory, and that is the Union Pacific Railroad tracks, and this totals about 8 acres of territory. It would produce a more orderly boundary for USD and eliminate a quarter of non-jurisdictional land. The drawbacks in proceeding with this boundary amendment, however, are administratively significant and include the need for additional environmental review, and it also may not pass protest proceedings under LAFCO law given that we do not have the landowner consent at this time to include those parcels. So with that, staff recommends not proceeding with the reference alternative boundary amendment. It's not ideal, but overall it will not create an island. It'll just kind of make this little corridor. That's what that with not within the boundary, but overall it'll still look okay. Lastly, the City of Newark serves as the lead agency for assessing potential impacts of the proposal under the California Environmental Quality Act and has prepared a recirculated final environmental impact report that indicates the majority of any significant impacts of the project will be reduced to less than significant levels through mitigation. As a responsible agency, Alameda LAFCO staff has reviewed the environmental documents and findings and independently agrees with the city and that it has made the appropriate determinations. So with that, staff would like to return the item to the chair for commission discussion and or any questions. And please note that this item is not a notice public hearing, so we do not have to open and close the public hearing for this item under Government Code Section 56662. So I will return the item to the chair.
Okay, thank you. And I think before we have the commission discussion, I'd like to see if there are any members of the public that would like to comment on this item, now that we've had the staff report. Is there anyone present?
No, I do not see any comments from the public at this time, but do note that we also have Rod Sherman from the Union Sanitary District if any commissioners have questions in regards to the proposal.
Oh, good. So I'll open the public comment, I'll close the public comment, and return it to the commission for questions and comments.
And no member from the public.
Right. That's why we open and close it. So, anyone from the commission wish to speak on this? Commissioner Hubbard. Okay, Commissioner Hubbard, did you raise your hand? You said you wanted to speak? You're mute. You're on mute.
Thank you, sir. Rachel, are we looking for, is this the final action to be taken on these acres?
Yes, so it would be the final action for just in terms of Union Sanitary District to provide public wastewater to this affected territory.
I think this is one of those cases where it's very clear this is right in the bullseye center of what the LAFCO commission and charge and mission is to accomplish, and so I'm happy to move approval.
Okay, do we have a second?
Hernandez will second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Can we have a roll call, please? And I think at this point, since Marchand has been sworn in, he should be called.
Yes.
In lieu of Splint.
Yes. Commissioner Miley,
Aye.
Commissioner Hobart,
Aye.
Commissioner Hernandez,
Aye.
Commissioner Warner,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Wieskamp,
Aye.
Alternate Commissioner Marchand.
Aye.
Let the record reflect the motion passes.
And for the record, I would have abstained on the vote on the minutes since I wasn't present.
Yeah, that's why I didn't ask for that one. So we're on to item 5, the draft municipal service review on countywide water, wastewater, flood control, and stormwater services. Can we have the staff report, please?
Yes, thank you. Alameda LAFCO's work plan for the 2020-2021 fiscal year included completing a municipal service review, a countywide municipal service review on water, wastewater, flood control, and stormwater services that was initiated in 2018. This service review represents the first type of regional LAFCO study covering water and wastewater services within Alameda County. The draft is being presented for discussion and feedback ahead of staff initiating a 30-day public review and comment period, and later returning the item to the commission at its September meeting for final action. Feedback received will be incorporated by staff and consultant Quadnoff Associates into the final municipal service review with recommendations. Staff would also, at this time, staff would like to introduce Steve Brandt from Quadnoff Associates to provide an overview on the MSR and highlight any key indicators to the commission. And Steve, I believe you have been promoted to panelist.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay. Good evening or good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Steve Brandt. I'm with QK, and I want to thank Rachel for the introduction. So I'm just going to talk briefly about the scope of the MSR, the process we went through to get here, and what can be found in each section of the MSR. So the MSR covers municipal services for water, wastewater, flood control, and stormwater. There were a total of 24 agencies reviewed, 10 special districts, and all 14 cities. 2 of the special districts, and obviously all of the cities, provide other types of municipal services that are outside of the scope of this MSR. And then some special districts, like for example, East Bay Mud, operate in more than one county. In those cases, only their operations in Alameda County were reviewed. Several other agencies not under LAFCO purview are also identified for context, such as California Water Service Company or San Francisco PUC. The process to prepare the MSR started with requests for information from all the agencies, such as budgets, CIPs, master plans, urban water management plans, and climate action plans. The full bibliography is at the end of the document, section 10. We then first prepared a first administrative draft of the MSR minus the determinations and circulated that to the agencies to review, to get a sense of where they felt we should emphasize topics more or less than what we did with the original draft. This agency review was occurring right during the height of the pandemic, and so we gave agencies extra time to review and respond. We got a lot of very good feedback, and due to that feedback, we made a number of changes between the first and second administrative draft. So we made those revisions. That became the second administrative draft. That draft was reviewed recently by your staff, and minor changes were made to there. Not really any content changes. So we now have a public draft that is ready for public review and comment. So in working with Rachel, we're expecting the public review period to last at least 30 days. We'll then review the comments and prepare written responses to each of the comments. We'll bring back those comments and the responses back to you for review before accepting the MSR. And the plan right now is to do that at your September meeting. The MSR is organized into an executive summary in 10 sections. The executive summary summarizes the document and contains all the determinations together in one place. Section 1 is an introduction that describes LAFCO and the purpose of MSRs. Section 2 provides an overview of the agencies being reviewed. There are tables that show the services each agency provides, and maps and a table to show the locations where those services are being provided. Section 2 also provides population projections from ABAG data and shows how job growth will affect future daytime population. There's also a summary discussion of the growth management policies of the agencies that prepare general plans. Section 3 conducts the required Cortesianox review for any disadvantaged unincorporated communities or DUCs. We determined that the community of Ashland is the only unincorporated census designated place that would qualify based on income levels. However, that community already has water, wastewater, and flood control services provided to it. So there aren't any recommended actions for LAFCO to take regarding DUCs. Sections 4 through 7 provide the review for the water, wastewater, flood control, and stormwater services. There's a lot of information in those. One thing to point out regarding the financial review in each section is that after reviewing the information received from the agencies, we decided to use the financial data provided by the State Controller's Office since they have a standardized method for organizing public agency financial data. It's still not a perfect apples to apples comparison, but it's closer than using each individual agency budget and trying to combine them together. So Section 8 discusses the current efforts being taken by the agencies to improve climate change resiliency. And there's a discussion about regional collaboration and then examples of each agency's climate resiliency policies, either taken from their general plan, their climate action plan, or urban water management plan. Section 9 then reviews the spheres of influence for the special districts. The city's spheres weren't evaluated, but one of the agencies, City of Pleasanton, specifically asked LAFCO to consider a sphere reduction after they complete their new water master plan. So the MSR has a short discussion about that and gives direction on the type of land that can be excluded from the new sphere and the type of land that should remain in the sphere. So it's kind of giving some general guidance on how to evaluate that when that comes forward. Then finally, Section 10 provides the bibliography. The proposed determinations can be found at the end of each section and also in the executive summary. And generally, I would say the overall message from reviewing all of this information is that these agencies, that they know their roles, they know their responsibilities, they're well defined, and they often rely on and must coordinate with one or more agencies to accomplish their mission. They're doing a good job with that. And there don't appear to be any gaps in service or any areas that are overlooked or ignored. So generally a positive message. The only sphere change recommended would be to look at the City of Pleasanton's request when they're ready. There appear to be areas in the west and the south that could be taken out of the sphere because they're very likely to not ever need the full range of urban services. That concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, I think before we get to the commissioners, do we have any members from the public that wish to speak on this item?
There are none.
I do not see any raised hands at this time.
Okay, let's open and close the public comment. Now we want to return it to the commissioner. I see Commissioner Marchand has a hand up.
The waters in which I swim. So thank you very much. Found this very, very interesting. And you know, from my perspective, there were a few things that were kind of confusing about it. On page 4 of the administrative draft, the executive summary, page 82 of the document, it said there are 4 special districts engaged exclusively in water services in Alameda County. Of course, ACWD, DSRSD, East Bay Mud, and Zone 7. So I went further into the document, and that exact line is also repeated on page 4-58 or 173 of the document. And in the main document, they mentioned the Clean Water Act, is the CWA, and of course, East Bay Mud is not exclusively engaged in water. It's also a wastewater agency. So the fact that it's saying that this is just water, but then at the same time you then have a separate section on wastewater, it's kind of confusing because it's not making it clear. Because, for example, the city of Livermore delivers water and we treat wastewater. But I think that maybe some additional clarity in the document, since we are talking about water services in one section and we're talking wastewater services in another. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
If you got any questions, you can find me.
But I might call you separately. And,
yeah, sure, that's fine.
Go through that.
So also further down on page 4, 82 of the packet, it says, in the past, some jurisdictions would increase water rates as a technique to promote conversation. And I love talking about this as much as anybody. But I think you actually meant conservation as opposed to conversation.
I think you're right.
You'll probably get both.
Yeah, especially when you raise the rates.
They usually go hand in hand.
Yeah, that's right. Especially when you raise the rates. I thought it was on page 145. I thought it was interesting when you brought up the violations of the nitrate standard in the North Canyon Property Owners Association, and you cited the New York Times as the citation. And I thought, where was the water quality report? Where's the regional quality or the EPA? Where's why did we have to go to the New York Times to find a nitrate violation? I was thinking there should be some local mechanism like the consumer confidence reports that every water agency is required to put out annually. Why we had to go to the New York Times to find this. Then on, let's see, there's a table on page 458, 173, that talks about the City of Livermore and East Bay Mud providing recycled water. And those are the only ones that are mentioned, but on 447, page 162, in the table, it lists Pleasanton as also providing recycled water. So you've got two different pieces of information that don't necessarily agree. The table 416, page 4-48, 163, it talks about the reserves for all the agencies. And specifically with something like East Bay Mud, since these are all water enterprises, are those reserves for the entire organization? Is it split up as the water enterprise versus the wastewater enterprise? Or do they just have one big pile of reserves? That wasn't clear. When you, let me get down here to page 164. So page 164 talked about the coordinated efforts that were being done to promote overall source reliability. I didn't see the Zone 7 effort where they increased the size of the state of South Bay Aqueduct, and that was close to a $200 million investment to increase the water reliability here, because they when the temporary facilities at Lake Del Valle were made permanent, Zone 7 lost about 11,000 acre-feet of capacity. So I think that was a very significant effort on the part of Zone 7 to increase the reliability for the for the region. Let's see, 452. I thought I was curious that when I saw that the Castlewood Services Agency did not have a strategic plan. They last updated their water master plan in 2012 on a 5-year horizon. And they had a 2-year horizon for their capital improvement plan, which expired in 2017. So that raised kind of a red flag for me. And then we got to the city of Livermore, and it says that the city of Livermore does not have a strategic planning document. So I was just curious, what specific document are you looking for? Because we have a mission statement. We updated the water master plan in 2017 with a horizon of 20 years. Which to me, that's a pretty solid strategic plan. And we have a 10-year capital plan, which we just completed in 2021. So I'm looking for some specificity of what this strategic planning document is, and if there's something that some of these agencies may be missing as they're developing their capital improvement plans and their long-term management plans. As I said, when I look at the Water Master Plan, to me that is a strategic planning document. So maybe a little additional clarity there. I honestly think that I mentioned this the last time I looked at this document, 5 years ago, I guess. But in table 4-17, page 165, it shows ACWD cost per acre foot is $1,600. Hayward is $2,200. Livermore is $500. And I thought that just leaped out at me. It's like, wow, did we get a deal or what? And I'm just trying to think, because Livermore does not pump groundwater. And now it was Pleasanton, because Pleasanton does pump groundwater. I could see that maybe that would be the case for Pleasanton, but we don't have any wells here in Livermore. So I was wondering why there is such a difference in the cost per acre foot, because Zone 7 is buying the water wholesale from the state, and we're getting it for half the price of Zone 7. So I was just curious where that number came from. And let's see. Oh, and I everybody should be proud of this. We get to table 419, public accountability, and it shows our latest voter turnout. And Pleasanton, 78%, Livermore, 73%, Zone 7 was 77%. So, yeah, we rock. Our community comes out. We are absolutely committed to the public, and the public recognizes that, and they come out and vote. So we obviously are very good at getting our message out to the community. And with that, thank you very much for your indulgence, and I'm done.
I'd like to impose a 3-minute rule on all commissioners. Just kidding. Just kidding.
I'm proposing a filibuster next time.
Well, I don't think that any of the other candidates that we interviewed could have reviewed this document in this level of detail. So it's proof of why John was a good selection here.
What's sick is this is what I consider fun.
Right. Well, so the question is, I would have before I go to the next commissioner, how do we close the loop on Commissioner Marchand's comments? Is this Steve? Will you get back to him, or what's our process?
I think because of the specificity of his comments, and I'm trying to write really fast. If he can work through Rachel, we can maybe get in contact with each other, have a conversation, and go through some things.
You can get my cell phone. We can have a phone conversation.
Yeah. No, I'm
do that offline.
Totally up for that.
Great, thank you.
So I heard a bunch of corrections, upgrades to some of these things, but I think one of the more important things I heard was whether or not a master plan exists and what does that consist of. So you might have to also loop in like Mark Roberts or something for Livermore to make sure that that all makes sense. And then you mentioned what was the other? It was the golf area that didn't. What was the other one that didn't have the
Castlewood.
Yes,
Castlewood
Yeah,
Services
Castlewood.
area.
Right. So it seems you want to close the loop on those things. Make sure that people understand what the gap is and how it's going to get closed. So, go ahead.
Vice Chair, may I speak? Excuse me, sorry. And just
Sure.
this municipal service review is a snapshot, so it should really kind of be over a 5-year period, and anything after 2020, 2019, or excuse me, 2020 or 2021 most likely would not be included. So that might be why for the 2021 improvement plan, it's not included in this report.
Okay, so you probably want to clarify that in the
document. But I would add, like we said, we're going to be documenting the comments. We'll document these comments, and we'll provide responses. So it can be kind of like an appendix to clarify that.
Or you can upgrade in the particular where there are corrections and such. So
sure.
With that, Commissioner Johnson, I think, had his hand up first.
Oh, thank you. So my comment is probably more in a general nature, and it has to do with the coordination between the water, wastewater, flood control, and stormwater agencies in Alameda County. For the most part, we import virtually all the water that we use, with some exceptions. And we reuse a portion of it. Probably the Dublin, San Ramon, Derwa group is probably the most significant, but so that's probably mostly in the eastern part of the county. For the western part of the county, we use our water once, we clean it up, and we throw it away. What I was looking for is one of the outcomes of this is some sort of a recommendation of how do all these agencies work together. Maybe it's a coordinating committee of all these agencies to work out maybe some sort of a master plan eventually of how we recycle water. So better use the water that we import, so we're not just using it once and throwing it away. That's kind of what I was looking for as an outcome. Does that make sense, Steve?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure that's within LAFCO's jurisdiction, but I would think that LAFCO could serve as a facilitator for that.
Absolutely.
I think you're absolutely right. And oftentimes that's LAFCO that maybe provides the nudge for other people to do the more detailed work.
You give a fun on your hands with ACWD.
Okay. Commissioner Von Heater-Leopold.
Yeah, I actually have a complaint that I've had for 40-some years, and it dates all the way back to when the Hughes Heist report was done on DSRSD being able to be assumed by the new city of Dublin. And this is absolutely nothing against the gentleman we hired. Obviously, I was on the selection committee, and I believe he has done an excellent job. But this is basically the same problem. For instance, John's comment about who does water exclusively. We don't do water exclusively, so we shouldn't even be on that list. My suggestion would be, because we are so messed up out here, maybe we would have a table of some sort that lists the agencies and then lists the services that they are in charge of, because you're going to mislead the public if they look to something like this, and they're going to think that DSRSD is not involved in recycling. East Bay Mud technically isn't either. It's a member of a JPA with DSRSD called Derwa. They do all the recycling. It's those technicalities that'll get us hung up when somebody reads the report and says, but you said in this report, and it's got a lot of those kinds of things. So that's why my suggestion would be to have a table that lists the services that each of the agencies actually take care of. And that might be a much clearer way to approach it. And then in the paragraphs under wastewater or water, you don't have to name the agencies. my suggestion. I know it would require a big rewrite, but I think it would be much more helpful to our constituency. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Hubbard.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to echo comments around that Commissioner Johnson made around recycled water, and indeed for us to advocate that others would also go down that route. I think it's a good thing for us to do. Water is becoming scarce, as we know. We're in a drought, a year very likely, and if not now, it will happen soon enough. And recycling water is one of the best things that we can do. So advocating for that is important. And then as I look at page 165 and the construction of new wells in the Livermore Valley groundwater basin to increase total production capacity, I just wanted to double check. Do we know that capability it truly exists, and have we validated that? Has that project been voted on by Zone 7 yet, or is it yet to come?
Okay, we can definitely check on that.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other comments from the commissioners on this item? Don't see anything. Steve, did you get enough feedback?
No, this is very good feedback. Appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll get more feedback when we go through the circulation process.
Commissioners, I wanted to remind you of section 1413 of your policies concerning multi-county MSRs, that for multi-county service providers, the principal LAFCO will prepare the MSR in cooperation with other LAFCOs. I heard Mr. Brand indicate that he did not review the operations, for example, East Bay Mud within Contra Costa County. There is an obligation to prepare an MSR, and so consistent with your policies, it would need to include the operations and sphere of East Bay Mud within Contra Costa.
Okay. All right, and I would just myself would like to second the thought of that table that puts together what agency provides what. So it could be a nice little matrix, and I don't know if it would be a need for a wholesale rewrite, but it could be a very helpful addition.
Okay.
All right, I think we can close this item out at this point, and we'll look forward to the next iteration. We've taken care of item 6 earlier. Now we're on to the Cal LAFCO nominations and designation of the voting delegates. Do we have the staff report, please?
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair. So Cal LAFCO will be hosting its annual conference from October 6th to 8th in Newport Beach. All commissioners are welcome to join, and please contact staff with further information. The annual conference will include Board of Directors elections and an Achievement Award ceremony. Cal LAFCO requires each member LAFCO to designate a voting delegate and an alternate on behalf of the commission for the Board of Directors elections. Voting delegates may be a commissioner, alternate commissioner, or executive officer. Names of the voting delegates must be submitted to Cal LAFCO by Tuesday, September 7th. Now, nominations are now also being accepted until September 7th for the Cal LAFCO Board of Directors. Alameda LAFCO may nominate either a city or both a city member or public member to the Cal LAFCO board, and the board elections will occur at the annual conference on Thursday, October 7th. If an eligible member indicates interest in serving on the board, staff recommends to either consider a formal nomination of that member or authorize the chair to make a final decision related to nominations if a decision cannot be made at this meeting. Lastly, Cal LAFCO also invites nominations for its Achievement Awards that includes at least 8 categories, and award winners will be announced during the banquet dinner scheduled for Thursday, October 7th. The deadline for nominations is August 13th. If a member of the commission indicates interest in nominating a person and or projects for any awards, staff recommends the commission consider a formal nomination of that person and or project. And we'll also have staff, through the chair, make any final decisions related to nominations for achievement awards if the decision cannot be made again at this meeting. So all that is required at today's meeting is to appoint a voting delegate and alternate for the 2021 Cal LAFCO conference. And if there are no formal nominations for either the Cal LAFCO Board of Directors or Achievement Awards at today's meeting, please advise staff or the chair on any nominations before the deadline. So with that, I'll return the item to the chair.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Von Heater-Leopold.
I just like to put in for the last 4 years I've been the voting delegate, and the only problem, there's not a problem. The issue is that they have the the general meetings earlier in the morning. So anyway, that's why I have volunteered to be the voting delegate, and I'd be happy to do it again if no one else is going.
Sounds good. Anybody, any other people that are interested in being the voting delegate?
We have an option to appoint an alternate as well, right? That's part of the recommendation.
Sure.
I wonder if we don't all fall into one of three buckets, either would like to do it, would do it if absolutely needed, and then, just not for me. I don't have time or whatever, just would rather not do it. I'm pretty taxed with my schedule, so I'm sort of in that third bucket. I wonder if there's anybody else who would be in bucket number one, which would say, I would like to go do that, then I would entertain them to be the alternate.
If we don't have a decision or no other, I know Chair Splin, he will be attending, but staff, can also always be an alternate because I'm.
Oh, you
want to go, Rachel?
Yeah, I do want to go.
Okay.
You're bucket one.
So move.
Rachel.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to make the full motion again?
I'll move that we send Rachel as as our alternate.
And Georgine as the member.
And
Okay.
is Glenn going as well? Yes, Glenn is going, but we don't need to vote on that. And all the commissioners are welcome to attend.
Okay, and is that so? Fine. Moved and seconded. Shall we have a roll call?
Who moved? Who made the motion?
Marshawn moved, and I seconded.
Thank you. Commissioner Miley?
Aye.
Commissioner Haubert?
Aye.
Commissioner Hernandez?
Aye.
Commissioner Warner?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wieskamp?
Aye.
Alternate Commissioner Marchand?
Aye.
Let the record reflect the motion passes.
Okay, great. And Rachel, you're going to be asking for the nominations for the other positions we didn't do?
Yes, it's not required. If any commissioner is considering to nominate or, be nominated or anything like that, they can go through me or the chair, and we will submit that to Cal LAFCO. So if they want to speak to either me or Splend offline, they can submit their nomination.
Okay, and you'll send out an email reminding everybody?
Yes, absolutely.
Rachel,
Excellent.
for the benefit of the new members, and I can't recall what the category was now, but we received that for our joint use agreement a couple of years ago, or 3 years, maybe it's longer, 4 years ago. But could you sort of just briefly identify that so they have an idea of what kind of achievements that they're willing to look at?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
All right, we're on to item 8, matters initiated by members of the commission. Do we have any? Okay, seeing none, we're on to executive officer report.
I do not have a report at this meeting.
Okay, do we have any informational items?
Just one item I would like to note is LAFCO is in review of a proposed annexation for this Greenville Plaza and Northfront Road to the city of Livermore. It is about a strip, I want to say about no more, definitely less than 20 acres of land along 580 in unincorporated area of Alameda County. And it is for the development of a commercial kind of retail area right off the freeway. So LAFCO is in receipt of an application and we're reviewing it right now. And we might have a formal proposal to submit to you at our September meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that? Or if not, we're going to adjourn to our next regular meeting, Thursday, September 9th, 2021 at 2 p.m. And we do have a policy and budget committee meeting on Thursday, August 5th at 2021 at 2 p.m. So thank you all. We're adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you later.
Good to be back.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey, Ann, do you have time for a quick phone call?
Sure.
I'll call your cell.
No, call me at 9